So thank you. Good evening. I want to just also extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has organized this wonderful event, the 2021 Humanities Festival. I was really struck by the theme storytelling. I think it's something that we all can resonate with in our hearts, in our communities, and amongst our families. As Adine introduced me, I grew up on the Navajo Nation. I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation. And I actually vividly recall stories my grandparents and parents shared with us. These stories were about land, culture, sometimes even animals, often about their travels, and always about our relatives. The stories were also about their childhood. And something I wanted to share with you is that I recall stories that my 98-year-old paternal grandmother told me of really liking school. Now, I remember even stories that weren't so pleasant of my parents and my grandparents attending federal boarding schools. But my grandmother was different. She really wanted an education. And she finished her schooling up to the 8th grade at Santa Fe Indian School. And then she had to leave because her parents agreed to an arranged marriage. This is a story of determination, disappointment, but also love. So stories are an important part of who we are. They make deep impressions if you allow them, and they stay with you so you can pass them down generation to generation. So tonight's event will begin with a blessing from Miguel Flores Jr., followed by Life and Stories with Writingbear, Mike Lindsey. At the end, we will also close with a blessing, so I hope you can stay with us. Miguel Flores Jr. is the CEO and president at Holistic Wellness Counseling and Consultant Services. He is affiliated with both the Pasquayaki and Donatham tribes. Miguel is also an artist and healer. For over 28 years, he has provided spiritual leadership and traditional medicine to different tribal communities throughout Southern Arizona. I've known Miguel through his countless contributions to various departments across campus, such as the Native American Research and Training Center under Family and Community Medicine, the Native American Cancer Partnership Program under Arizona Cancer Center, and the Native American Student Affairs Unit, which falls under Diversity and Inclusion. Miguel has provided spiritual support and cultural trainings across campus, and we are ever so grateful. I am now pleased to introduce Mike Lindsey. We should all be grateful to be here tonight to hear from Mike, whose grandmother influenced his talent for storytelling. I am very fond of Mike's wife, Dr. Marty Lindsey, who is here with him tonight. Marty's retired from the University of Arizona after many, many years of service to advancing opportunities for Native American students and communities. Marty, we are grateful for your unwavering support and commitment. I also know Mike and Marty's daughter, Erica, who I know they are very proud of. Erica is now a physician and was one of my former students who also left her selfless mark on the university, providing peer support to students who were having a tough time adjusting to college. Erica is now a practicing physician in Gallup, New Mexico. So Writingbear is Mike's spiritual name, used for ceremony, prayer, and storytelling. With Cherokee heritage on both sides, he credits his maternal grandmother, herself a storyteller with the greatest influence on his life and stories. So I know what you're speaking of. Grandmothers are special. He works in the moment, guided by inspiration and sensitive to his audience. 7 years after his grandmother's passing, while recovering from a chronic illness after graduate school, Mike began to have visions and dreams which reawakened the values and stories instilled by his grandmother. Mike has 2 novels in the works. The first, whose working title is Kamikaze Killers, and it's a mystery set in Japan in the late 1970s. The other is called Rezzed Out. I love that title. And it is inspired by his experiences traveling, living, and working in Indian country. He has produced a CD of his stories titled Stealing Horses. Mike, we look forward to hearing from you. But first, let's please welcome Miguel Flores Jr., who will conduct our blessing.
Los Mchanievo, Kechamalea, Kokstash. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, let me introduce myself traditionally. My name is Miguel Flores Jr. I'm a member of the Pasco Yaqui tribe in Tohono Nation. My parents are Miguel D. Flores or Celia Mendoza Flores. My paternal grandparents are the late Juan Mendoza, Amelia Mendoza from the old Pasco community. My paternal grandparents are the late Felix Flores from the Barrio Libre Yaqui community and Defina Flores from San Javier District. And these are my relations. And again, welcome everyone here this evening for this great event. If we can please go outside and stand in a circle while I offer a blessing and a smudging, that would be great. Thank you. How many of you have ever participated in a ceremony before, smudging ceremony? Anybody? A couple of you? Feel you? Okay. So let me explain before I start for you know what I'm doing. What I'm going to do a prayer of the 4 directions. Start off with the east, the south, the west, the north. And what this prayer represents is our prayers, this medicine that I have in here with sage, lavender, copal, tobacco. And the smoke represents our prayers going up to Creator, our higher power, whatever we call him or her. And once I get done with the 4 directions, I'm going to go around in a circle and blow the smoke on you. And this represents taking away any impurities, any toxins that you might have, any prayers that you might need to ask from Creator, that he hears those prayers. And so this is what this represents in the quick notes version of it. Señorita Macha'ata'a. We come in some manner honor you, sacred smoke, Father. We thank you for this new day of life, which was punishment, Father. We thank you for the morning Cherokee, the morning star, Father. We thank you for the light that you give, Grandfather. We thank you for your warmth, Grandfather. We thank you for these relatives gathered here this evening, Grandfather. We come to some manner on the sick smoke, listen, chocolate, tamacha, ata. Señorita Macha Ata. We come to some manner on the sick smoke, Father. Thank you for the elements of the south, Grandfather. We thank you for the warm rains which are being away, Grandfather, for the rains that bring life, the rains that bring growth, the rains that clean us and heal us. We thank you for our inner peace, our inner calmness, our inner child, Grandfather. We come to some manner on you, the sick smoke. Bless them, chocolate, tamacha, ata. Señorita Macha Ata. We come to some manner on you, sick smoke, Father. Thank you for the elements of the West, Grandfather. We thank you for those ancestors passed on before us, Grandfather. We ask them to give us their strength, their guidance, their wisdom, their courage. We thank you for Mother Moon, Grandfather. We come to some manner on you, the sick smoke. Bless them, chocolate, tamacha, ata. Señorita Macha Ata. We come to some manner on you, sick smoke, Father. Thank you for the elements of the north, Father. We thank you for the cold winds which are being away, Father. We thank you for the white snows, Father. We thank you for the endurance which you have to teach us, Father. We thank you for the lessons of life and death which you teach. Whether there's death, there's rebirth. Grandfather, you ask that help us spiritually, physically, and mentally. Take away any impurities, any toxins that will lie within us. We ask that you bless us, top our heads, the bottom of our feet, to have good, strong minds, good, strong hearts, Father. We ask prayers for all people, all nations, Grandfather, at this time, Grandfather. Grandfather, you know what's in our hearts and those things that we might need prayers for, Grandfather, that you may be able to answer these prayers, Grandfather. Grandfather, we ask to bless our speaker, Grandfather, to bless my brother, Grandfather, for the stories he's going to tell, Grandfather, for the teachings, Grandfather. We come to some manner on the sick smoke, bless them, chocolate, machata.
So many things, so many people to be thankful for. Our hosts on this land, the Tohono O'odham and Yaqui, Pascua Yaqui people. The Humanities Department for inviting me to do this. To my former boss, Suzanne Pamfarov, for recommending me, and also for all those years of giving me release time to go all these different places and do storytelling. Very generous. And special thanks to Beth Soliard, who I've worked closely with and who has been just incredible. Bookmans for carrying my CD. So if you can't get them tonight, they have a few too. And for my brothers and sisters in the worldwide Baha'i community who've supported me on this journey. Some of you are here tonight. I'd like to thank my stepfather, Frank Lindsey, for being a true father and helping me learn how to be a man. I'd like to thank my Uncle Bobby for being like a big brother. I'd like to thank my mother, my mom, for always being proud of me. And to both of them, my uncle and my mom, for surviving years of unspeakable trauma in an orphanage during their early childhood. And of course, as others have mentioned, to my grandmother, for sharing the stories and making sure I knew who I was. Let's jump in with a traditional story. This is a Cherokee story called Rabbit and Bear. It was a beautiful day and Rabbit was walking along and he saw his good buddy Bear. Hey Bear, how you doing? Well, I'm doing good, Rabbit. How are you? I'm doing great. Well, you look great. Hey, Rabbit, why don't you come over to my house tomorrow for dinner? We'll share a nice meal. Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you. I'd love to do that. So the next day, Rabbit showed up at Bear's place, and Bear had a big pot of beans on an open fire cooking. That smells great. Wow, Bear, you must be a pretty good cook. Well, thank you, Rabbit. Yeah, and it's almost done. Oh, good, because I'm hungry. Yeah, it just needs one more thing. It's not what you think. Bear took out a big old knife, and he stood over the pot, and he took that knife and he sliced into his bear fat, not unlike this. And this bear grease came out and it went into the pot. And then he took his hand, because Bear has the healing medicine. He took his paw and he closed that back up, mixed it back in there. Now it was perfect. Rabbit couldn't get over it. It was so good. This is the best meal I've ever had. I'm going to have to invite you next week to my place. Oh, that would be very nice, Rabbit. So sure enough, the following week, Bear shows up at Rabbit's place. Rabbit has a big old pot of beans going on an open fire. And he says, it's almost ready. Just needs one more thing. And he pulled out a big old knife. And he took it and he put it in his side, and blood and water and everything came out. And he was down on the ground. And Bear, before he could realize it, Rabbit was bleeding out. So he took that paw and he closed that up. And he got him up and he got his friend up and he said, what is wrong with you? He said, whoa, what do you mean? He said, why did you do that? I said, you do it. It worked for you. Oh, Rabbit, this is what happens when we compare ourselves to other people. Everyone has their own special gifts and talents. And when we try to compare ourselves to our insides to someone else's outsides, this is the kind of thing that happens. And then Bear said, and Rabbit, I have seen enough of your insides. I don't want to see any more. So that's what we do. That's how we teach our children. And some of the stories are longer. They're more complex. I remember my grandmother I would do something bad. And like one time I didn't try, but I almost burned down a tree. I wasn't trying to burn down a tree. I just wanted to make fire because it was fascinating to me. 4 years old. She was taking a nap, matches. Anyway, so she caught me. She put out the fire. And I was so scared. I said, are you going to spank me? She says, no, come here. Sit down. And she told me a story. I don't remember what it was now, but it had animals and things, and all these things happened. And so she finished, and she says, okay, do you understand? I said, are you going to spank me now? She says, listen. She told me the story again. Same story. And then the bear and the animals. And she says, do you understand? You're not going to spank me? She says, think about it. And I was thinking, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, I wish you'd just spank me and get it over with, you know? But anyway, so, you know, I'm walking around the house for a week, like, you know, am I the deer? Am I the bear? Am I the snake? Well, you know, what's going on? But this is it. So, the title, A Life in Stories, Visions and Journeys in the Land of Mystery. I work, you know, by inspiration. So when I started praying about what to do for you guys tonight, the story, this title is going to be my inspiration, my guide. So let's see how I can do. This is going to be a little different than what I usually do. It's going to be kind of personal. And I'm going to give you some insight, maybe, to the life of a storyteller and what I've learned with that. So how will I do that? I'm going to give you some touchstones, a sampling of things that have happened to me and how that influenced my growth as a storyteller and as a person and as a healer, because it was after a while I found out that in the Cherokee way, storytelling is a kind of healing, and that made sense because at the end of her life, my grandmother, she worked as I forget what they call it. I think they called it a companion or something like that with people who were sick in the hospital. And they would always ask for her again, you know, when people were put back in the hospital, because she'd just tell them stories all day. And then they said, you know, I didn't need the pain medication. I forgot about all that. As for the mystery part, we'll see how far we get with that. I don't have that much time, but we'll see about the land of mystery. I will tell you this, the land of mystery is the land we're on, where this is it, North America. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so how did my storytelling awaken? This was after my grandmother had passed. Karen Francis Begay mentioned the visions and so forth. And through that, I became part of a monthly Native American ceremonial circle in Tampa Bay area. And so I was at one of those meetings, and they were usually two parts. There was a first part of the ceremony around a fire outdoors, and then there would be an intermission. And the leader of the ceremony, he would always say, you know, at this time, if there are any announcements, if there's any fundraising, if there's any stories anyone wants, and nobody would ever tell any stories, which I always thought was interesting. So one time I was helping out, and I was actually tending the fire, and I was sitting right next to the fire, and I'm looking in the fire. And so when he started saying this, all of a sudden I was looking in the fire, and then I closed my eyes for a second, and I saw myself walking around the fire, counterclockwise, telling a story, telling one of the stories I knew from my grandmother. So I thought, that's interesting. So he says, now at this time, if there's any stories, and I said, I have a story. So I stood up and I enacted what I saw. I walked around the circle, counterclockwise. I later found out that's the way Cherokees do ceremony. One of the few groups that do that direction. Anyway, told the story, sat down. Had the second part of the ceremony afterwards. A lot of people came out. Wow, that was cool. Are you going to do it again next month? Oh. So the time for the next one came the next month. And I said, well, you know, I don't know how to do this. So I said, well, how did it come to me the first time? It came by inspiration, so I better pray. So I prayed. And basically for me, that was just a question like, hey, any stories? What do you want me to do? I don't know what I'm doing. And sure enough, well, prayed, meditated, which is listening. Sure enough, I can't remember, one or two stories came. went to the thing, did what I was told to do. That was great. You gonna do another? Oh, we'll see. So after a while, I became the regular storyteller for this event. And this event was open to all people, and it grew. It was very, very cool. I remember one night, I don't know why, people get interested in November, they get interested in Native Americans. So in the November one, I remember we had like 300, 400 people. And I looked around, and there was the 4 colors in the 4 directions. You know, there was people from every part of the world there, you know. And, well, anyway, so these people would come, and then from that, they'd hear the stories, and then they would come and talk to me after and say, hey, we have a thing, will you come over here? Sure, I guess. So I would be invited by others. Well, what would I do when I was there? I would have to trust that the Creator would give me something, right? I'd pray, listen, meditate, and do it. It was not in my control. Now, there's not many people that in my life right now, except for my wife who knew me the way I was then, but I did not like to not be in control. That was not something I sought. So this was a new experience for me. And the people would invite me, they'd say, okay. I say, yeah, I'll do it. And they say, okay. I say, how much time do you get, man? And they say, okay, we'll give you a half an hour, whatever. They say, how many stories are you going to tell? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Well, see, I go by inspiration, and yeah, okay. What kind of stories are you going to tell? I don't know. You know. And so some people could understand it. Some people could get with it. Some people couldn't. I had some people, they couldn't deal with it. And I'd say, you know, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it for you because I don't know. And I didn't really have a good way of explaining it. You know, I was kind of groping around because it wasn't something I was used to or really even comfortable with, as I've said. So anyway, one time, my wife Marty and I went to a Carlos Nekai concert in Tampa. Wonderful Navajo flute player, just fantastic musician. And he stood up before the concert started and he said, I've got the quote right here because it is burning away. There's no agenda for tonight. I work in the moment. And I'm like, that's it. I turned to Mark, that's it. Now I don't have to make this big, long explanation to people. I'm stealing that. So I stole that. Thank you, Carlos. I work in the moment. Now, you know, it sounds pretty easy, right? You just ask, listen, and do it. Yeah. Well, and it seemed so for a while, but my trust in the Creator was tested, of course. So I kept getting invited to bigger and bigger things. Finally, there was this Indian Summer Days Festival in St. Petersburg, Florida. The St. Petersburg Historical Museum had this, and it was outdoors. It was in the fall. It was kind of nice and cool, and it was a big deal. A lot of people, and so I'm like, oh, you know, hit the big time here. And so I show up to my venue, and they've got a stage, like it's built up. It's outdoors, but they've got a stage, and I walk up the stage. There's a podium, and I look out, and there's these rows of chairs. There's 400 people coming to hear what I have to say. Well, here's the thing. I had been praying like for the week or two before, nothing. Like nothing. And and I was like, well, should I just tell one? No, you can't do that. Because I don't know who's here. I don't know what they need to hear. So I stood there, silent, kind of the way I started tonight, but I have something to worry. And I stood there, and I'm looking out the sea of people. And I'm thinking, okay, Creator, it'd be nice anytime now. And then nothing. And I'm standing there, and they're They're all quiet and they're trying. You know, you can get a lot of attention. Sometimes you just shut up. You know, they're looking at me, I'm looking at them. And then I kind of got mad, you know, and I said, okay, you brought me here, Creator. So if you want me to be just a total fool in front of these 400 people, I will stand here and do that. Well, that was the wrong thing to say. Whoosh. Whoosh. Just came in like a flood. I talked for 2 hours. I don't even know what I was saying, but it was like, whoa. And every once in a while, I would look down at somebody, you know, in the audience, and I would see like the eyes, you know, they were under the ether, man. I mean, I had them, 400 people. They were like, whoa, like that. They didn't move, you know, they were hardly, the breath was shallow, the whole thing, man. Alpha waves, I don't know, whatever. But if you want to serve, you will be tested. At one point, I was in my journey, I was invited to the Continental Indigenous Council in Standing Rock, South Dakota. This was an event sponsored by the Baha'is of the United States. This gathering had native spiritual people from over 300 indigenous nations. I met people from Australia and the South Pacific and over to Greenland, and of course, everything in between. And I met people from above the Arctic Circle and way down into Mexico. Native people, indigenous people. We could be here all night if I was just to tell you the stories of just what happened in those 5 or 6 days. But we're gonna get down to what fits the theme. There was a Hawaiian Kahuna. This is a name for a holy person, a medicine person, Hawaiian, indigenous, a man. And he said, one of the evening programs, he said, I'm going to teach the fire walk down by the river, down by the Missouri River's right there, near Standing Rock, where we were camping. So we went, and he had us gather dry wood. It was kind of a sandy beach on the side of the river. And he made us, we made like, it was about this wide and about this long. And we stacked it up about this high with this wood. And he set it on fire, and he's tending this fire, and it's burning down to coals. Now, here's the weird thing about this, guys. I'm not even going to tell you about the fire walk. You'll have to find me and invite me somewhere else to hear about that. But he had us prepare for the fire walk for 2.5 hours. He had us do different things. And I'm not even going to tell you about all the different things he had us do, because we don't have time tonight. But I'm going to tell you about one of the things that he had us do. And that was, he said, go out. Now, it was dark by this time. We started, it was right at sunset. The fire's burning out. He had us go out alone into the prairie. Get away from everybody. By this time, it was dark. Man, and he just said, just look at the sky and just open your mind, open your heart, meditate. You know, not a lot of guidance. So I'm looking, you can see every star, you know, you can see the Milky Way. And I'm just looking at that. And I'm just not thinking about anything. Because, you know, I mean, he put the bar pretty low, like, didn't really have to come up with anything, or just do it. And I'm like, oh, I like this. And I'm standing there. And after a minute or two, all of a sudden, down from the sky, there's this wire with a bare light bulb hanging on it. A bright, bare light bulb. Not quite as bright as these lights, but almost. And I'm like, that's weird. And I'm looking at that. And then I look down where the light is, and I see behind that light, there's a line of people lined up, a long line. very long line. And then I look in detail at the people and I say, well, I know some of those people. Well, the truth was, I knew them all. Some of them I had known for a long time, some members of family, in-laws, etc. And some were people I had met once. But I thought, what did these people have in common? And then it hit me. It's not flattering. I had a resentment against every one of those people in that line. I was carrying resentment, or more than one in some cases. Wow. That was very sobering. So then, what do? Bring them under the light, one by one. So, went to the front of the line, got the first one, so under the light. Now, when I saw them in that new light, I could forgive them. Just that easy. So I was like, yeah, you were dealing with stuff too, whatever. Boom, next, next. It took a while. It took too long, really. Again, it's not flattering, but I did it. And I got through the whole line, and I thought, wow, I feel lighter, I feel better. Okay, so this one's over, right? The light's still hanging there. What? No, I don't see it. There's nobody else. No, there's one more. No, there's nobody. It's dark out here, but I can see. No, there's one more. Me. I had to go under the light to forgive myself for all that funkiness for all those years. And I did. Now, why am I telling this story? Because if we're going to serve, we have to work on ourselves. How are you going to help other people if you can't help yourself? How are you going to help other people if you're carrying all this baggage? How are you going to help other people and serve if you can't change? At that same event, I was invited to a friend, Kevin Locke, to his home, which was nearby where we were camping there and on the near Mobridge, South Dakota. And there's a lot of people in the house, and it was noise and everything. And I couldn't handle that for very long, so I went on the back porch and sat. And there was an elder woman who I later found out was his mom, Patricia Locke. And she was putting the finishing touches on a shade house. And I asked her about that, and she said, oh yeah, there's a ceremony tomorrow. We're adopting this lady, this white lady judge, into our family. And I said, oh, well, can I help you? She said, no, you just mess it up. Probably true. She said, you know what would help me? If you just sit here and talk to me while I'm doing this work, and then it helps me kind of just enjoy the work. I said, sure, I can do that. So she asked me a question that I hadn't heard before in Indian country, that didn't get, this is not that important to people, but she asked me this question. She says, well, what do you do? I was a little surprised, like, not who are you, what do you do? So I was like, well, my wife and I have consulting business. We do training and consulting in Florida for nursing homes, because that's what we were doing at that time. And she goes, oh, nursing homes. She says, tell me something. Why do people put their elders in nursing homes and then they never go and visit them? And I'm like, oh boy, I'm on the spot, So I thought, well, I'll give the standard industry answer, right? So I said, well, they feel guilty that they had to do that sometimes, that they couldn't take care of them. They get busy and they forget. She's like, no, that's not it. That's not it. She said, the reason that people put their elders in nursing homes and don't go visit them is because when they were children, their parents didn't know now how to nurture them. So now they don't know how to nurture their parents. A year or two later, back in Florida, again, doing the storytelling, and at the ceremonial circle. And this particular time, for this particular month, I had gotten it like a week before, which was, I could kind of relax, because I know. It was tell these 3 stories, tell them in this order, bim, bam, boom, done. And the last story was that one I just told you, okay? About the nursing homes, okay? So I show up early to the ceremony because it was out in the middle of the woods in this natural opening in the trees in the woods. And so you had to get there before it got dark, or you get lost in the woods. And I show up early, and 3 Blackfeathers, the leader, he's there, and he says, how are you doing today, Ray? I said, good. How are you? And he says, good. He says, you got a story for us tonight? I said, I have 3. Now, I remember this. It was a Thursday night. So it was a school night. And he goes, and this had never happened before. He goes, 3? I'm like, yeah. He says, it's a school night, and we're expecting to have a lot of kids here tonight. And maybe you think we could, we don't want to go too late. Maybe you think we could cut it short or something? And I'm like, and I didn't say anything. I turned and walked into the woods. I don't know what to do. That never happened before. I found a stump to sit down on, and I said, Creator, what am I going to do now? I don't want to come off like a diva. Well, I got to tell all my story. I'm not telling any. Because I was caring about how people saw me, what people thought of me. Can't do that. But anyway, I did. I was. So after I put it to the Creator, and I put all my little complaints and everything, and then I listened. Tell all 3 stories in the order given, or none. Okay. So I go back, and I'm still concerned about how 3 Blackfeathers is gonna see me. And I'm like, well, his name was Terry. And I said, Terry, like how it works. I get the inspiration, everything, and this. And he's like, what? And I'm like, look, it's all 3 stories or nothing. And he goes, oh, okay. I'm sorry. Never mind. Tell all 3 stories. Okay. So, storytelling time came. Told the first story, told the second story, told the third story, right? Remember the story, right? Done. Second half of the ceremony. Ceremony's over. People come up to me. This Cherokee woman named Mary Two Hawks. She comes up to me. She was a nurse. She had always worked in hospitals. She comes up to me and she says, and she had her mom with her. And she says, she takes my hand. She says, Mike, I want to tell you, I really enjoyed the stories tonight. And I'm like, oh, good, Mary, thank you. And I'm like, And she wouldn't let go. And she's like, no, she's holding my hand. She won't let it go. She's like, no, I really enjoyed the stories tonight. I said, good. Okay. And I'm trying to get my hand. She says, no, you don't understand. I really enjoyed, especially that third story. I said, Mary, I think you have a story to tell me. She said, yeah, I do. She said, I've worked in hospitals my whole career, but lately I've been getting guidance from Creator that I need to change, that I need to take care of elders who don't have anybody else in the nursing homes. And I've actually even started looking for jobs in nursing homes, but I wasn't really sure that's what I should be doing. So tonight we were getting ready for the ceremony, and I was asking my mom what she thought. What did she think about that? What was her advice? And when I asked her that, and then she goes like this, she gestures to her mom. My mom said, and her mom says, go to the ceremony, you'll get your answer. Go to the ceremony, you'll get your answer. So I really appreciate the stories tonight. And that's when I learned it's not about me. So if you want to serve, you got to understand it's not about you. Okay, so that's some of the life and stories. One aspect of the mystery, I think I've already told you. Pray, ask a question, meditate, listen, and then trust and enact what you're given. As I said, that was the only way I knew to do storytelling, because that's how it was given. But a funny thing happened on the way to doing this. It was just that one little area of my life is like, okay, this is one area where I have to let go, because it's the only way I know how to do it. And I have to totally trust the Creator. Total trust in the guidance, period. But a weird thing happened. It started little by little and overflowed into my whole life, to where that's how I live my life now. It's not always easy. It's not always easy. It's embarrassing sometimes. The other mystery that I don't have time to get into tonight, unless maybe somebody asks a question about it, is the mystery of this land. Why is it the land of mystery? Because there's a lot. We indigenous people have been here 30,000, 50,000 years or more. Yeah. Now I know all the anthropologists, 10,000, 13,000. Now they're finding more. No, we knew. We've been here longer than that. Okay, sorry. They'll find out. They'll catch up eventually. Okay? We learned some stuff. And you know what? We haven't told it to all of you yet, because we don't trust you. Okay? Because you're going to try to make money off of it, maybe, or something. Okay? I'm probably even going to get kicked out for even telling you this much. All right. But yeah, the mystery that I'm living is this, what I told you. Ask the question, listen, trust, and then do it. Enact it. Act it out. And if you start acting it out and then something good changes, whatever, stop, pray again, do the process again. It's a very mysterious way to live, but it's a pretty cool way to live. And it sure beats the heck out of figuring things out. Now, I'm not saying I don't use my mind. I use my mind. I use my intellect. But we need more than that in this life. We need to understand our direction. Okay, I want to thank you for listening. And I'll turn it over to my good brother, Miguel, for the closing. Oh, sorry. Oh.
First of all, I want to thank you for your medicine that you shared with us today, because again, it's important to tell these stories. It's a way of our life, a way of our traditions, and cultural teaching. So I offer you this medicine bundle for your teaching.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank Mike for his medicine. Looking at things as medicine that he shared with us today. It was our traditional stories. But we all have some of those stories. So it helps us to heal. It helps us to think about things. It helps us to interact with each other, the whole person in the week. The whole way of the path that we walk. And so again, I thank Mike for sharing those stories and helping us to heal this. And so I offer this find a prayer us and everyone here to be able to take home those words of wisdom that were teaching tonight, this evening. And the way that others have always taught us, those things that are meant for us to hear, we will take those things with us. Those things that we don't remember, that's okay. It is in your time. And again, for this prayer, for all of us to get home safely, for families, our loved ones, our friends. So I guess everyone stand up, I do this thing. Again, thank you for this day. We thank you for the medicine that our brother here, Mike, shared with us. You eating that, Father. Now, Father, we ask you to bless all of us here as we travel back home to our families, to our friends, our work, wherever we need to be. That you continue to keep us strong and safe and healthy, Father. That you may be able to, again, help us to understand the medicine that was shared with us today, and Father, the stories, to help us, to guide us, to give us strength, knowledge, and wisdom. Once again, Father, we thank you for this gift, to love you, to put this into my life. Amen. I hope and thank you.